Good morning, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. We're going to do 3 today. I haven't done 3 in a long time in one day, but I wanted to kind of get to a comment from a great viewer, Sunny Side Up. I think I said Sunny Days on the other video, so I apologize, but Sunny Side Up had a great question about toxic families. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Thank you also to Matthew Fox. Thank you for your nice comment, my friend. I'm glad these type of things are helping, and I'm just very grateful for all the subscriptions, comment, likes, and donations that we get. Please continue doing those. It helps me kind of form ideas and things, and I tried to answer a lot of the recent questions the last couple of videos, so I'm going to kind of do this one as well. So let's kind of go right into it and get into it for Sunny Side Up. All right, so good question, Sunny Side Up, because this is an issue that is really relevant on your journey. And what this issue is, it's toxic negativity. And it's one thing if it's a friend, but it's a whole nother thing if it's a family member, because you can't get away from that family member, right? So here's the deal. The deal is that we talked about this in a few episodes, and I refer you back to some of these that we talked about: energy vampires and zombies and these type of people. So there's a number of different ways you can lose your energy or siphon your energy off unnecessarily. The first way is obviously through your energy and retention, right? Semen retention. The other type of loss of energy is emotional loss, where you're drained. So it's almost like we're arguing here and there, or you're listening to somebody and they're pouring all their energy out in you. You're sucking it in. And you're accumulating in that case, but you let it go. And sometimes you feel better, but sometimes you feel worse with anger. And it's almost like you become a sponge for all this energy. And that's kind of what it is. You are becoming a sponge. And so you're letting it go and giving it out. And so you could become someone who could be really kind of negative yourself and toxic if you don't watch it. Confucius always talks about that the angry person is the sick person, right? Because a person is becoming sicker as they're angry. Now, what does this all got to do with family situations? Well, I've been part of family for many years myself. And I realized that one of the biggest challenges in your success will be to surround yourself with positive people who are encouraging, who has success, who are, people who really know how to win, whether it's on a sports team, whether it's a club, or in life in general, and people who are positive about things in life. Yet, you will run into many people that are the complete opposite, for whatever reason. And a lot of us are conditions of the way we were brought up and conditions of things around us. And so it's very, very possible that you may not get a situation where you have someone who is positive. You may have someone who is negative, very negative. And this person can be very toxic to people around them. Every time they're around them, there's negative things happening, and they just get down, like they used to call it Debbie Downer, type of thing like this. So this is somebody who is very prevalent in your life. This person's always be around. Now, you can't avoid everybody. And you're going to run into these type of people at the workplace, maybe in personal situations. You're going to run into these people. Now, I would suggest, obviously, it's almost like temptation here. You want to flee from temptation with people like that. When people are in your life like that, who are just, whether it's a workplace or something, and you can do something about it, I definitely would avoid those people. Don't make an effort to spend some time with those people, because their negativity is not going to be solved by you. They choose to look at the world a certain way for whatever reason, and unless they choose to change it, they're going to have that viewpoint. That they're going to have that viewpoint about things, and you're going to have to kind of realize that it's important to say, okay, I'm not going to be affected by this. I'm going to go move ahead, and I'm going to continue achieving my goals and working on myself. And that's what you can do. Now, I would suggest the same thing in a situation with a family member. The biggest difference, obviously, is that you're in a family. Whether you were brought up in that family and you have somebody in that family like that who's always around, or someone who you've married into who has a family member like this as well. Now, if that's the case, which happens almost all the time, you have to kind of realize that partly this person is not to blame for their situation. They've been conditioned to think like this. But being that way, this is going to be their go-to type attitude, their mechanism whenever things go badly. They're going to be very pessimistic. And they're going to be very, very negative. And what ends up happening is, instead of you being that person of hope and trying to get things done, inspiration, they're going to flip it around with you. Now, I will say this much, however. I have noticed that as my journey has continued, and I'm like 682 days or something like that. No, Fab, and I'm sorry, 662 or something, 672, something like that. And about 180 some or 190 some days of for monk mode. I've noticed as I've gone longer on the streak that I am stronger to those forces. And I think it's because I'm keeping my nutrients. I'm becoming a stronger inner person. And so those things kind of bounce off more. Now, I'm not going to say that I still don't get upset once in a while. Whether it's someone, who's just disrespectful, or someone who basically is just saying negative things. There's times when I will still react to it, but not like I used to, and certainly not as often. And I think certainly that you have to kind of think about that type of thing. So I would definitely encourage you to, if you can, avoid the person. Like if it's a cousin or someone like that, you're not seeing that person all that much. It's not a big deal. Just continue to reinforce yourself. Keep going on your retention plan. Keep doing that, and keep positive with your goals. See, if you focus on your goals, and we talked about this with the focus one we did this morning. If you focus on your goals, you won't entertain a lot of thoughts about these negative things. They just won't come into your life as much. And the Bible talks about this. Confucius, a lot of philosophers talk about this. When you have your mind entered into a certain level of goals and achievement that you want to achieve, all these other things don't pop in. Yes, they're there, of course, and they're gonna affect you in some way, but you continue to move on. You continue to go on, because the thing is that you are trying to achieve something, and you're using this as one piece of information. I always go back to the story of Edison, who tried to create the light bulb so many times, and he failed, according to what people thought, right? But he basically just turned the whole thing around mentally. Mentally, he turned it around by saying, you guys don't realize that I did not fail 100,000 times. I just found ways to succeed. I found ways you couldn't create a light bulb. And so now I'm closer to creating a light bulb. And that's kind of the key to it, my friends. And he said it right on the nose. It's how your attitude is. So if you can adjust your thought pattern to thinking about things in terms of positive. An old saying is that if you have a lemon, which is a bad thing, right? Make it a lemonade, which is a good thing. Make a bad thing into a good situation. And you're not going to let a lot of stress and energy lose yourself. It's all about how you react to things and what you do in yourself. I believe in a bigger picture, we're all kind of in one piece together, and that it really is just the egos, the fears, and things that we have that separate people. So I think you can come together with lots of people, even your family, if you're able to kind of be that person who's a strong person. You're not going to allow that stuff to get to you, and I think that's one of the huge keys to this whole thing. So when we talk about this toxic person in the family. Obviously, you can avoid them if you can. If not, what are some suggestions that we can give Sunny Side Up here to do this? Well, first of all, and I've had these people, so I kind of know what you're talking about. So I'm with you, my friend. I'm with you. One of the things that I did, now I didn't practice retention a lot during the major years here, so I will refrain. I think we can probably do a lot more. I kind of probably did. But certainly one of the things I wanted to do was I'm not going to necessarily push back on a negative thought, because it's just going to make it stronger for that person. I'm going to kind of look at the glass half full instead of half empty. That's what they're doing. They're looking at the glass. And I remember one person telling me that if they expect the worst in life, and I even saw this on a Spider-Man movie the other day. If you expect the worst in life, you're not going to be disappointed. So these people are expecting the worst, but they don't realize in their mind, they're creating the worst situation because they're expecting it. And I fully believe that. I fully believe that you have to expect the good things. And so these people will drag you down, not purposely even. Sometimes they will, but most of the time they won't. I mean, family members sometimes are good and they're bad, just like everybody, right? Sometimes they want you to succeed, and sometimes they don't want you to succeed because it makes them all look bad. And so they're trying to achieve a certain level of success and things like that. So when we look at these type of things, it's important to recognize that the key to a lot of these type of things that we're talking about is really kind of focusing on how can you create positive thoughts and generate movement towards a goal. Now, also in the back of your mind, realize these negative people, they sometimes don't want you to succeed. But don't let that stop you. You've got to keep going. Keep going. Eventually, the power you have of strength, hope, retention, all these things you have within you is more than enough to push over the negativity. Negativity is only strong enough if you're willing to accept that negativity from anybody, even yourself. But if you create the negativity, get rid of the negativity by pushing through it, it's almost like the sun going through the darkness. Eventually, the darkness goes away. The mist goes away. Not darkness, but mist. Mist goes away, right? If you got fog and the sun goes through it, all of a sudden the mist starts going away, the fog goes away. This is the kind of principle we're talking about here. Once you're at a stage where you're comfortable and you're becoming stronger on your plan, the negativity will not affect you as much as it did. And then you can kind of focus on saying, let me go ahead with my goals. Let's continue with this. Yes, I'll see my relatives at certain types of get-togethers, but in the long run, I have an idea, a plan to just avoid all this and move ahead. Now, if you got to deal with that person on a constant basis, maybe there's someone who was positive, is negative, and you deal with them like perhaps even your husband and wife, or brother, sister, or someone that's you're seeing on a regular basis. You're just going to have to continue to stay with your plan and continue to be stronger. Now, you may motivate them one day to change. I've seen that happen as well. And that's a very positive type of thing. But as you become stronger, they have to recognize that. They will recognize one way or the other. Now, they may push back on you for a long time, but eventually they will, because most people eventually come to reason at some point, reasoning that someone who is like you, strong and healthy, and who's on these retention journey, a lot of positive things they see from this, that kind of person is someone to be respected, and they're going to respect you. So it just takes time, and for some of you guys who are younger, it is difficult. I know I was there. It's difficult because people look at you a certain way. They don't think you're going to be that successful. You know, they think you're kind of weak, and what are you doing this weird stuff for, right? All this kind of stuff. And I can see that. But the idea is that you really want to reinforce your stance. And your stance is one of celibacy. Your stance is one of that, you know, I'm keeping my energy and I'm focusing on goals and moving ahead. And I guarantee you, if people are 18, 19, 20 years old, 21 years old, don't respect you, they will eventually. They will eventually. They'll understand as life goes on what life's about, and they'll realize and admire the fact that you have taken the stand that you've taken, and you might be able to make an impact on them. So just because they're toxic right now doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay toxic either. And obviously people who are positive could always turn not toxic as well. But the strength of this journey that I'm on right now has showed me that this is the most powerful strength in the world, this type of journey. And the fact of the matter is, it takes a heck of a lot as you do this longer and longer. And I can see why people get closer to God as they do this. Because the stronger you get, the less and less you're involved in this world that we're in. The less and less you worry about other people and bother with them. And that's the whole key with this toxic nature thing. The less and less you worry about other people, the more strength you have, the better off you're going to be. And this happens a lot when you get stronger in retention. And this is kind of the key to what you have to do. So, Sunnyside Hup, I hope I answered your question. I hope that helps in the things that we're doing. And thank you, and a shout out to you. Thank you for the great comment. And the rest of you guys, I think is the last one we'll do today. So we'll talk again tomorrow on April 1st. And it will not be April Fool's Day for me. So I will talk to you guys later. Battle on. God bless you.